Yep. Yep. That's what a mess looks like. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, thought I heard a noise. Okay. Well, it's kind of a strange. I just took some weed. I haven't done weed in like a year or two, and acid has been my favorite drug for like ever. And but weed was like my most common. Like I would only ever smoke weed, all the time. And then I started getting paranoid, and then I couldn't do it anymore. And it's you cough a lot, and I like to smoke it rather than eat it. And then the other day, this woman, she said, in response to my talking about doing acid, she said, "Don't partake in those demon activities. Find yourself a Catholic church, and I'm praying for you." And I said, well, Jesus turned water into wine, and I kind of plagiarized this part. I said, and he did it without license. And so, alcohol is a drug, and he was basically, if you want to say that I'm doing illegal drugs, well, Jesus, and the thing that triggered me was she said, ask Jesus for forgiveness. And so I said, well, he was making liquor without a liquor license. He's basically making drugs. And he should be asking my forgiveness, actually, because I probably got the idea from him. And then tonight, when I took this weed, I found some, I think it's called Shatter. It's like, it's really strong. And I took a few taps of acid too, which were old taps that I've already done before, so it's not really much. And so the weed's starting to kick in, and I'm thinking, I'm glad that woman was praying for me, whereas normally I would be more atheist. As the weed's kicking in, I'm thinking on all these other dimensions that I can't prove, but yet I suddenly feel are true. And I'm so happy that she's praying for me. And the reason that she's praying for me is that Jesus wants me to get high. And I could go astray while I'm high. And this woman has to pray for me to make sure that I don't lose it and go nuts while I'm high. I mean, that's a real thing. Imagine someone smoking weed 3 times a day for like 10 years. And suddenly they just stop. And they love it. They're not pessimistic, or that's not the word I mean to say, resentful of smoking. They love it every single time. I get to get high. I woke up in the morning to go pee. I'm going to go back to sleep, but first I'm going to go take a bong toke, and I'm going to peacefully fall asleep. And so I loved my weed. And the paranoia was pretty strong to discontinue it. And we should go into, well, what is paranoia? Hold on, this is fucking crazy. The same song's just played 3 times in a row, and I don't know what's going on. Okay. So anyways, what is paranoia? Well, was I really paranoid? Perhaps I can't define what paranoia is. Yeah, I can, perhaps I can't define it by experience, though. Perhaps I've not been paranoid. Perhaps what actually happened is when I was on weed, I was somehow less in my mind. I distinctly thought that when I felt its effects, that suddenly I'm just not in my mind. And there's this guy who, I think he was a gang stalker. He was very gay. He was like 60, 70 years old. And he was kind of aggressive. Like, he came into the office I was volunteering at, and he said, "What's your name?" And I said, "Zach." And he quickly, like, gets his notebook out to write it down. And he had sort of, I felt like he was testing me, kind of. And I think he had to get shots for mental illness. But he was also, like, kind of like a powerful figure. Like, very set in his ways, very big, like a really big guy. And he tried telling me about the enemy once. Well, that's not the enemy. Something about, he was a Christian. And I was thinking of him tonight, and I thought in my head of telling him, the enemy is dreaming. The enemy is thinking. And then I went into it even more. But it's not thinking like the thoughts are outside of you. It's thinking like you're identified with the thoughts. And then it got kind of too convoluted. But the essence, the gist of it was, when the thoughts are outside of you, you're good. And when you identify with the thoughts, when you bring the thoughts inside of you, then you're bad. And that's the whole point of it. And the difference is, when the thoughts are outside of you, they're not really bothering you. There's an inside part of you that's not thinking at all. And then you're enjoying things on a much more honest, realistic level. Then you're actually real. Then you're not augmented and morphed by your ideas. I completely forgot how I got on this topic. I had some other point I wanted to say, and now I'm a bit let down, actually. Oh yeah, paranoia. Okay. And I've heard that's one of the joys of life, is that somewhere that you could miss. It all could go to waste. And you need that in the back of your mind to appreciate when you have a win. And what I'm doing for my energetic body, like my meditation, that's what I found on weed. I think I'm doing it. Yeah, I think I'm doing it. I could, if you could read aura, I think I'm doing my meditation right now. In case you want to see my energetic signature. So I think the thing with paranoia is, it's probably not paranoia in my case. In my case, it was more so that my mind was turning off, and the mind is anesthetic. And the mind is rationalization, the mind is denial, the mind is fantasies that take you out of your reality. And when I would smoke weed, my mind would turn off, and then I would just be there faced with the reality of being gang-stalked, but not having any context, not having found the community, still thinking it's just a local group of people doing it, still thinking that the cops had my back, still thinking society had my back, still thinking that society wasn't capable of this, still thinking if I just prove it, if I just get a camera and prove it, all this is going to end and they're going to be in big trouble. And still very scared too. Oh my God, they're breaking in and they're not only stalking me, but they're threatening me. And they're not only violent, but they're purposeless. Their violence is without cause. They won't debate me. They won't tell me what they're doing or why they're doing it. And they're doing it to no end, there's no purpose other than destroying my life. Pretty scary. You go from like, oh, I'm just chilling, smoking weed, to what the fuck are these people doing? What they're breaking into my house? The people I thought I trusted are watching me in my house. And then they're pretending to be my friend, and they're trying to bait me into some kind of crime. They're trying to entrap me. What the fuck is up with that? And I didn't have the context for it, you know? And so I would get high, and it was just too overwhelming. Suddenly I was like, basically my subconscious mind knew all that. My subconscious mind had been picking up for years. Every time I go to the store, there's going to be someone walking near me. This woman down the street, she walks by me, and I just ignore her. She says hi, I just ignore her. My subconscious mind knew she was a gang stalker. Then I'm out in the yard later getting high. She drives by and she says, "I'm over it. I think it's all my fault. I was so rude to that woman. Oh my God." I go to the Shoppers Drug Mart wearing a onesie, and I mail her a letter saying sorry and that I love her because I'm all fucked up. Fucked up on weed, maybe. Maybe fucked up on being traumatized to the point of having a literal psychotic breakdown. And then I go back to the Shoppers Drug Mart. I say, "Hey, excuse me, but that letter I just sent in the mail, can I get that back, please? I don't want to send it anymore." Looking like like a fucking insane retard, wearing a onesie pajamas to the store to mail a letter. To mail a love letter to a gang stalker, basically. Kind of, not really, but signed "Love Zach" or something, or "I love you" or something, somewhere in there. Which now means, "Please don't kill me, Kim Jong-un. Please, Supreme Leader, don't kill me. I love you and only you." And they say once it's in the mailbox, it's federal property. We can't go get that anymore. Then I'm so embarrassed. Then I go to her door and I say, "I sent you this letter. I don't know if it makes sense, but the reason I ignored you is because I thought you were not vegan. So sorry about that. I was taking responsibility for you. That's what I thought the truth was." And I had seen and heard cop cars every time I'd go out. "Oh, there's a cop car. Oh, there's, the stalkers." And I had all these superstitious things that I would believe for fun about it to make it feel better. "Oh, well, if I go get junk food right now, that's a bad sign, and the cops are there to remind me that something bad is going to happen if I get junk food." Or this woman I saw, now I keep seeing her everywhere I go, and she's going to think I'm following her. She's going to think I'm stalking her. This is really creepy. And the reason why this is happening is because we're psychically aligned, and we're on the same channel of psychic connection, but she's not going to understand that. She's going to think that's crazy, and she's going to think I'm stalking her. And now I feel really uncomfortable whenever I see this woman. I don't even want to go out because I bet she's going to be there, which I now know is being gang stalked. But I had all these rationalizations, and that was probably the real paranoia, was that I'm insane. I was to think it is me. I am the fucking problem here. I am the virus. But what was making me scared, that wasn't really making me scared. That made me uncomfortable. But what would make me outright have a panic attack, to the point where I don't think you've ever seen my energy like that. I was actually very scared. What made me feel very scared was feeling attacked by ambiguous forces for endless reasons. Any excuse would do. But feeling like they're going to get me. And it was too much. And when I would smoke weed, everything that my subconscious mind had been noticing all of those years would suddenly go, "Yeah, that's all true. It really is happening." When you went to Sweden, and that girl you saw from Toronto, Canada, she said, "Oh," she messaged me on Facebook, just in case you didn't see me, which I did, let me just remind you that, hey, I just saw you. All those coincidences, those are part of gangstalking before I even had a word for it. How scary is that? How fucked up is that? It made me tremble. It made me tremble. I was really genuinely shaking at the knees. And so I had to come a long way, and I just took a sliver of weed. You know, it was, well, I took a lot, actually. If I took the same amount smoking it, but mind you, it's like a year old, at least. I think it's 2 years old. I think I got it for my birthday 2 years ago. And the amount I took, if I were to smoke that, I would be fucking blitzed right now. I'd be fucking perhaps having a full-on panic attack. I don't know. How far have I come in my psyche? Am I able to process these things at this point? Well, thankfully that woman is praying for me. And thankfully I have worked through quite a bit. I've worked through quite a lot of trauma. I've had lots of breakdowns and breakthroughs. I haven't had much laughs. Not a lot of celebration moments. And weed is a very celebratory drug for me. It's something that makes me laugh, something that makes me literally say, oh, I haven't laughed in 2 years. Like, I literally haven't felt happy in 2 years, and now I suddenly do. And that's kind of nutty. But what it means even more, because drugs are for the people in the valleys. Drugs are useful for the people in the valleys. If you're actually at the peak, then drugs will bring you down. But it will give you faith. It will give you proof. It will actually bypass faith. It will give you real proof, so you don't need faith, that something better does exist. And of course, I don't want to be the snooty professor and start saying, but if you do the drug all the time, you develop a tolerance, and then you can't get high anymore, and then it kind of sucks, and then you're just at a loss, and eventually you're just where you started. And yeah, I get it. Just let me have my fun. Just pray for me instead. But the times where it's really good is when you haven't done it in a while, and then it's a sudden shock to your system. It can jolt you out of your rut. And in my case, the jolt that I really appreciate most, even more than being in a jovial mood, is my energetic body. And that's basically just where my energy starts feeling separate from my body, and like it's going up around my body. And I know how to get that by self-care, but I've not had the discipline to take proper self-care for a long time. And so it gives me, I'd say, motivation, you know? Oh, look, it is possible to feel good. And you could feel like this all the time if you just, get up to... It reminds me that the peaks are real. And there is a healthier way to get there. Now, I could hear some of the ancient scrolls of meditation saying, even if you do yoga to get there, yoga being the preparation for your peak, or yoga being the method to get up to the peak, you're still forcing your yoga. And yoga is an all-encompassing discipline. It's where you eat healthy, you do deep breathing, you go for a jog or something, you do a sit-up, you drink a glass of water, you sit in a posture where your spine is less compressed, and it's the most efficient way of sitting up straight in the lotus posture. You conserve your energy, and just naturally, through conserving it and building it up, it naturally starts to flow upwards into the religious phase, into the energetic body. But if you force your enlightenment, how long can you force it for? Did you really get there in just a more politically correct way of smoking crack? You just did some mechanism. You forced it by way of violence. You forced it by way of manipulating your bodily chemistry. And that's the real reason you have an energetic body. It's not through your development as a person into your consciousness, through your meditation, but you did it through runner's high. And you thought you beat the crackhead. But really you're just as stuck as you ever were. Yeah, okay, so what? Yeah, maybe that's the truth. So what? I'll take it. I'll take the most sophisticated form of getting to the peak that I can. And right now it's weed. And that will help my meditation too. That will help give me the reason to meditate to begin with, because now I know that at least maybe I'm not enlightened. Maybe I'm not much better than I was 20 minutes ago, but I am better than I was 20 minutes ago. How do you explain that? Alexa, light brighter.
Okay.
Alexa, secondary light on.
Okay.
Okay. So, this is the awkward part of the chat because I like to have something I'm doing, playing video games or washing the dishes, and something kind of on the back burner of my mind. But I really don't have anything. And I mean, I'm kind of sweaty, you know, I'm pretty happy about my eyelid tape still. I'm pretty enjoying my weed high tonight. Like, I'm already thinking, oh, I should just do weed all the time now. And I don't smoke it, just eat it. I went to the bike store. That was cool. I'm trying to get my e-bike battery fixed. They stole one of my bikes. The gangstalkers did. So that made me kind of feel foolish to even try to get my bike working. Oh, they'll just steal it. But I don't think they'll steal it, because they kind of entrapped me into something that made them steal it, I think. You know, I'm pretty sure. Which is so unfair. You know, when you do something to someone and then they do something back and then you punish them for what they do back, that's entrapment. And I don't use the word entrapment lightly. Like, oh, they put a hidden cam in my room and they saw me doing something that I shouldn't have done. And now I'm calling it entrapment and therefore I'm not guilty. I don't mean it like that. I mean, like, they provoked me by threatening to kill me. Like, and then when I react, they're like, oh, that's your fault? Like, go fuck yourself. Like, and like, that's so self-righteous. Like, you could see you could see literally how self-righteous they are. Like, it's just a job. They're like, oh, well, we're just human traffickers, you know, it's just a job. But you could see as human traffickers, they're like so self-righteous. Like, who do they think they are, really? I mean, who would they be in the light of day if they were watched 24/7 and broadcasted to the whole world? Who would they be then? They'd be like, oh, hello, pleased to meet you. You know, like, they're just, if you could put a window in their head and see their thoughts, you'd see probably some pretty inconvenient for them to explain thoughts. They'd probably really not want you to see what they're thinking at sometimes. So anyways, I'm broke this month. I mean, sorry for just like telling you about my week, but that's pretty much what I have. I broke this month. I have like $120 left. $110 left for the rest of the month. Plus, I want to buy a new something for my e-bike, which might cost about $10 to $15 or maybe $25 for my e-bike battery to work, which maybe it won't even work. I already spent $10 on it, and maybe this won't even fix it. It's basically, I arced the battery, like I used pliers on the inlet socket, and it went pow, and all these sparks came out, and then it fried the cords that connect the battery cells together. And then, so I got new replacement cords and new battery cells, but not all of the cords are replaced. There's still some of those old ones that from when I arced the battery. Plus, I got a new inlet socket too. And so to attach the new cords to the inlet socket requires soldering, I think, and I can't do that. I'm almost sure it requires soldering. And so I can't do that. So I could either buy a new inlet socket for $25, which is too much, which has the cords already attached, or I can ask the guy at the bike shop, can you just solder this for me? And I told him I don't have that much money. Like, take pity on me, sir, please. Or wait till next month. And then I have this Electro Townie bike, which I really want to get fixed. It's like a regular bicycle, whereas my e-bike is like a big clunky one. But my Electro Townie bicycle is like a cruiser bicycle. It's so cool. And I have a hub motor for it. And I have a 72 volt controller, which needs to be rewired for 48 volts. Because if you put a 72 volt battery on a bicycle, it will go like 60 kilometers an hour. And the guy who sold me this kit and was going to put it together, but he was taking too long. So I just said, I'm just going to take my stuff back, and this is too much. He was an aerospace dynamics engineer or something, and he got a $5,000 fine for driving his other e-bike, his big clunky one, without the pedals. And I said, that's crazy, and he was like, yeah, it's like regular e-bike, like 32 kilometers an hour. But because the pedals aren't on it, then they classify it differently, and he got $5,000 fine, which is the most he could have got. But he says, I ride by cops all the time on my bicycle e-bike that goes like 60 kilometers an hour, and they don't even know, because he said it's all relative going through the traffic. It doesn't look that fast. And I tried his bicycle, like it was a mountain bike that like goes 60 kilometers an hour. It may have even went 70, I don't know, but I was like, there's no way I would ever max that out. And then, so I tried another bike, an Electro Townie, from this guy I met who would smoke a cigar while riding by bicyclers just to piss them off. Like, because apparently there's conflict between bicyclers and e-bikers. And this guy kind of had a Terrence McKenna kind of vibe to him and kind of look. And so he said on the forums where I met him, you could try my e-bike. And so he had a 48 volt Electro Townie. And Alexa, be quiet. What the fuck did she mean by that? You can get like 10 accents for Alexa. And so the 48 volt goes like 45 kilometers an hour. And that's actually really fast when you're riding on a bicycle. You're like, and you're going 45 kilometers an hour on a cruiser bike. That's really fast. Like it actually feels dangerous. And so if I get a 48 volt battery, which I wouldn't want to get more than that, that's about $370 on Amazon. And then I have a 72 volt controller though, so I'd have to get that rewired if that's even possible. Aerospace guy said it is. He was going to do that for me, but I don't know if other people can do that. And so I was going to say to this e-bike store, which I didn't say it, but I was going to wish I could say, like, let me give you my clunky e-bike as a trade-in, and then you install my hub motor on my Electro Townie for me, which needs spokes, needs a back brake, and then, I'll get the battery from Amazon, and you rig the controller to work with this battery, and then I have an e-bike that goes 90 kilometers range about, instead of mine, which goes like 5 kilometers right now as it's broken. And that's the thing I'm trying to fix. If I get the right wiring, it should go about 20 kilometers, maybe 30 kilometers, maybe even 35, but 20, at least 20. Whereas now it goes like 2 kilometers, and then and then it's done. And then it'll go another 2, but it'll go at walking speed. So, I have to take the, I don't know. I have to wait for an email to see what this guy says, and I don't think I never saw anything about trade-ins, so I would like to get a trade-in, but they're so expensive, e-bikes. They're like, like fucking $16,000 at one store. A whole bunch of them. I went through 5 pages, but you could easily pay like, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 for an e-bike. And the cheapest one you can get on Amazon that looked good to me was like, it was like $799, and that might be the price it would cost just to convert my Electrotownie, even though I have a lot of the parts. But my Electrotownie is the one I really want. And if you get a $799 one on Amazon, it's going to be like 250-watt motor, whereas my motor is like 1,000 watts. It's going to be 36-volt battery, which is my battery will be 48 volts. And it'll still go 32 kilometers an hour from Amazon, which is good. Maybe that's all the speed I need. I don't wear a helmet. And that's the other thing too, e-biking while being gang stalked. It's actually pretty scary. Like there's been a handful of times where it's been very traumatizing and scary, and I learn from each of those times too, so I get more safe. But sometimes I have my moments where I'm not so high on weed, and I'm looking out and I feel like I'm stuck in a prison, and it gets really depressing, and I don't really even want to go biking. And I've had issues with family before where they said, well, why aren't you on your e-bike? We went and got you this charger for, $200, like to charge your battery, like the best charger. And now you don't ride your e-bike. And I'm trying to say without saying it, cause who wants to say you're being gang stalked and then be met with, some kind of, apathy or criticism. That I'm scared. Well, just drive safe. Yeah, but it's not what you think. It's fucking scary. I can't. And then you drive on the sidewalk, and then you're a criminal. You're driving like your e-bike on the sidewalk, and you look even more dangerous. Well, I mean, I don't think you look dangerous on the street. You just look dangerous on the sidewalk. I don't think we look dangerous in general, like targeted individuals. I think it's more so the opposite. But in another way, I think we are dangerous because we're not like as if we have rabies. I know viruses don't exist, but what people call rabies, we're not acting like we're nuts or something, or violent. And I think that's kind of why they target us. I think they're such cowards that they gang up on people, but they also gang up on people who are peaceful. But in another sense, being peaceful actually makes us dangerous to them by a different standard of what dangerous is. Because we're peaceful, we are more influential than them. And if our way prevails, their way doesn't. And so if we can spread our message such that more people become like us, then they're going to be out of business. And so I know a lot of people, including me, say, well, it doesn't, you think you're God's gift. You're fucking just a Buddha, aren't you? And that's why they chose you, because they're jealous. When really it's just because they want to make some money off of you, because they want to steal your house. They want to steal your assets. They want to watch you in the shower. You have a nice nose, and they want to see what you look like naked. They want to do things to you. They want to feel big, that they scare you, that they shock you, and they want to watch your reaction, and they want to say, I did that. And it has nothing to do with that you're peaceful and you're a threat to them. And I could see that point too. I also beat the Guardian Ape and Sekiro. Like, there, I was really sleazy the way I did it. You're supposed to learn something called parrying. So they chop you with their knife, and right as the chop hits you, that's when you hit block. You don't spam block. You don't just hit block, 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 block. You don't hold block. You hit block at the exact moment that he hits you. And then right when he's deflected by your hitting block at the right moment, then he gets he loses health on his posture. Not his health, but his posture loses health. And once his posture goes down to zero, then you can do a death blow, which kills his health completely, unless he has two health bars, which he does. And so he's like chasing me with his sword, and his rhythm is so crazy that I never know when to block it. And he has a death scream which you can't actually block. And so he does he like dives at you sometimes with his sword, and then he lands in the mud with his face down. And so I would just wait for every time he would do that. It took me a long time. It was almost like cheating. And I would just wait till he does it every time, run up, hit him once, and then run away. And then that's how I beat him. And then and then I went to this other fucking guy named the Chichman Warrior, and he uses spirits to attack you. He literally throws spirits at you, so you can't even hit him because his spirits kill you first. And for him, you can't even beat him unless you use magic. And I was like, I thought this was a fighter game, not a fairy game. And so now I have to go get the lilac umbrella. I have to get divine confetti, because confetti changes your sword to fight these spirits that he sends at you. And I was like, this is barely a game of skill anymore. This is like a game of magic. This is Dungeons and Dragons now. Like, I thought I was like, maybe I deserve it because I beat the Guardian Ape by doing some like kind of cheating maneuver, but what it kind of satisfied my ego. Like, there's this one boss named Jetty Chiro, really hard. Like, if you Google, you could YouTube Jetty Chiro, Sekiro, and it's like, you know, it's, you could spend 10 hours or 5 hours or 2 hours. Probably spent 3 hours on Jetty Chiro, maybe two, I don't know, but it took a lot of tries. And once I beat Johnny Churro, I thought I had the game. And then I go to the Guardian Ape, and he's even harder. And I'm like, I thought I had this. And then I go to the Chichman Warrior, and he's even crazy harder. It's like, but he's easy once you get the right magic or spirit emblems. Sorry. So I kind of imagine in my mind that I look like Sekiro, like that I'm like Sekiro. Like I'm like a shinobi warrior. Like I sent the guy on eBay who sent me the Sekiro game because it was late because Canada Post went on strike for like a month, and then after it was off strike again, it was all backlogged, and so the game came way after delay, like after the latest expected date. And then I sent him a message. I was like, I was high when I sent it, and I sent like, I'm Sekiro. Like I changed my name to Sekiro, and I have to take a lot of responsibility right now, and I respect that because I had a package that already went missing, and I should have known better than to not use tracking on this. I should have paid you extra to send the tracking, so it's my fault that Sekiro didn't arrive, and don't feel bad for me because I am Sekiro now, and I take that very seriously. And he sent me a message back saying, "Don't worry, it's gonna come." I get like 100 messages a day, and everything is late by like 3 weeks. And if it doesn't come, I'll pay you. Like I'll refund it. And I was just like, I felt like a little boy. I was like, "Oh, okay, thanks." Like I, almost like I was trying to guilt him. Like, don't feel bad for me. It is my fault. I don't want the refund. Don't refund me if it gets stolen, because I did think it had gotten stolen. And then later on I was like, am I just a complete manipulator? And I was just trying to guilt him. Like, no, it's okay. I'll just die in the mud. It's fine. No, I'll just cut my face off and die. It's cool. Hey, it's really my fault that what you're contractually obliged to do, that's actually my responsibility, because like, I'll just go, like, I don't know. I kind of had a moment like why did I even say that? Like once he said he would refund it, I was like, oh, that's pretty awesome. I'm really happy he's doing that. Please, sir, I want some more. And then when it arrived, I was like, oh hey, he's one of those people who he'll always message you again. Like when you say thanks, he'll say you're welcome. Or, and like he was like, you're amazing, like you're but it wasn't like that. It wasn't like Sekiro, you're amazing. Just as a general personality type, he was like, you're amazing for waiting, like one of those kind of like a positive, he's always gonna make sure like he gives you a kind of friendly nod. Yeah. So it's been about 40 minutes. I've been high for about an hour and a half or 2 hours. Um, I don't, the first thing I thought is, oh my God, let's do a water fest. But then the second thing I thought is, no, get high again tomorrow, right in the morning. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But, well, well, the water fest came from feeling my energetic body and then wanting to build that. But I've done water fast before. I didn't really feel the energetic body, and I've eaten fruit before. Weed really gets you far ahead, and it might not be so easy to just, it might take quite some time. Like, I do have a big chunk of weed, like of like shatter. Like I have probably like it would probably cost like $120 to buy this, and that could last me for a long enough that I could stay high while getting high, the natural way, through healthy diet, through yoga, basically, as I defined it earlier, plus using weed to supplement the difference of, climbing up that hill. And then also meditating too, which is part of it too. You can't just smoke weed and expect to have a good time. You have to meditate too. And that's part of why I'm having a good time actually, is because I'm meditating actually. And I think when I started being gang stalked, I lost a lot of my meditation. And partially I lost it because I lost my yoga. I've been saying this for a while. Maybe I think I heard it somewhere, but it made sense to me that when you get Alzheimer's, it's because you lost your soul somewhere. And then you stop taking care of yourself once you found your soul. And your soul is when your energy flows up. And so somehow what happened was I became so traumatized through being gang stalked that I stopped taking care of myself. See, the ancient scrolls would also say that you have to do yoga with your meditation. If you just do yoga as the way of bypassing your meditation, that all the responsibility goes to your discipline, but you have no responsibility on your self, on your meditation, on your consciousness, then you're kind of deferring responsibility to your discipline, and that's kind of lopsided. So I became lopsided. I thought, well, I'll just stick with meditation. I was so traumatized, but I'm going to eat myself into comfort. I'm going to get, fat. I'm going to just, get like the junk food all the time, stop taking care of my health, stop taking my yoga seriously, have no discipline whatsoever, whereas before I was quite disciplined, at least as disciplined as I was meditative. And then once my discipline fell, then so did my meditation. And then I got into a really dark spot and I tried hard to get it back, but I didn't quite find the balance of it. That could have been why I would get paranoid when I was smoking weed back then, too. I'm not sure. Because my weed would bring me up so high, but then I didn't have any meditation that could go that high, too. I had I had neglected my meditation for so long that suddenly my weed would bring me higher than what I could even absorb. And so now I think I have a better grip on my meditation. So I can actually use the weed to generate a whole bunch of energy. And then I use my meditation to direct my energy up. And then that's where the energetic body is felt. And when I was at the gang stalker at the bike place, he didn't work there. He was just someone. He comes up to me and he goes like this. He starts touching his face. He's like, and he didn't have hair in his face, like he wasn't itchy or something. He's like, and I was talking about this while I was vlogging in the car, which I didn't even post. I was like, no, there's 3 cells, no, 4 cells, 4 cells in the battery. And he walks up to me to show like he's listening in real time while I'm in the car, or like his handler is. And he walks up and he says, so anyway, is that an e-bike battery? Like we're in an e-bike shop. It's clearly an e-bike battery. So there's 4 cells in there? I'm like, I don't even look at him. I'm just like, yeah, like I'm not even rude. I'm just like, I can't even be bothered with this. This guy's not even a real person. This guy's like he's like a drone or something, you know. You could see the intergenerational layers of blood money conformity that he has. Yeah, I'll do anything for a Klondike bar, it doesn't matter. He'll recite something like, well, we're all God anyway. We're all love, so it doesn't matter what we do. Or whatever, it. I was saying on that vlog, I didn't post it, but I was saying until I was gang stalked, I actually didn't, I actually didn't know what it means to hate anyone. I actually didn't know what hate is until I was gang stalked. I thought I knew, but I actually never knew what what hatred is. And how much money would I need to make it all okay? I was thinking about this earlier. About $80 million if Canada and the U.S. were the only places on Earth. But considering all the people who have it worse than me, like people in the genocide places, and people who have been through worse than me, considering all of them in the whole world, how much money would I need to make me not bitter about being gang stalked if the gang stalking were to suddenly stop? How much reparations would I need? $2 million about. Okay, well, thanks for watching, and I think that's about everything I have right now. So bye.